Our next session is called More Than Scale, Multiply, how unicorns build ecosystems around them. We heard of the importance of ecosystem. The number one purpose of any ecosystem is for all members of that ecosystem to survive and thrive. It's not a zero-sum game, and you're all in the South Summit, the 4 years from now ecosystem. Oh my God, I'm so sorry, I'm getting a conference. I didn't say that, please. Okay, but I will see you there. So, my dear friends, please join me in welcoming to the stage the Business Development Manager from our dear sponsors, CaixaBank. Do we have a slide to say thank you to CaixaBank here? Can we give a round of applause to CaixaBank? Thank you so much. Brilliant. Okay, we're very grateful to CaixaBank for sponsoring this. We're going to now welcome to the stage the Business Development Manager at CaixaBank. Please give it up for Alex Ferreiro. Thank you. Wonderful. Welcome, Alex. The stage is yours.
Welcome, Miquel from StockAgile, also Yasir from Syra Coffee, César from Latitude, and Jordi, CEO for Factorial. Thank you very much for making this panel possible. Based on the findings of the report mapping Spain tech sector conducted by Endeavor Insight with the collaboration of Google for Startups and also Spain Cap and Digital, we analyze how unicorns and their founders reshape the entrepreneurial ecosystem. The impact of the unicorns goes way beyond the valuation, the job creation, the turnover that is already huge. They create a multiplier effect by investing and mentorship the next generation of entrepreneurs. They create ecosystems around them. All the speakers that stay with us today have worked at Factorial or received mentorship or angel investment from their founders. So our multiplier Endeavor entrepreneur is Jordi Romero, CEO and co-founder of Factorial. And one of the key, we measure the multiplier effect of entrepreneur by his power of influence in terms of how he or she inspires employees to become entrepreneurs on their own projects. For example, César from Latitude as former the VP of Product of Factorial. And also his commitment with the ecosystem by investing the money and the time. For example, Yasir from Syra Coffee and also Miquel from StockAgile. In Spain, founders who work at local tech companies, they are more than twice as likely to scale their own company. So, César, what are your views regarding that, and how was key for you work at Factorial as VP of Product?
Well, I always kind of say the same. So I learned everything I know about startups at Factorial. It was an incredible experience for me. And I know I would have had a way harder time if it wasn't for Factorial. In terms of how likely we are to succeed as a startup, hopefully I believe in the statistics, but I have no idea. I mean, we are very, very early. The thing that helped us the most at this stage, within a year into the company, it has probably been funding related. So as soon as we left Factorial and so my co-founder is also from Factorial. As soon as we left Factorial and we published that we were building a new company, we had tens, dozens of investors knocking on our door, and that really, really helped us a lot. So for now, that's most of the impact, apart from everything that we learned. But yeah, things are going well.
And Jordi, this question is for you. How do you feel to have this positive influence? And in your company, there are any type of programs, internal programs for encourage entrepreneur employees to become entrepreneurs?
No programs. So one thing, César was not just part of Factorial. He was actually on day zero of Factorial. So it's not just being in the company. It's seeing it from the very first day all the way through finding product market fit, raising capital, having customers, kind of building a business around this idea. And he also co-founded Latitude with the first engineer we hired from the outside. So it's double multiplier in this case. I guess our program is we don't want to lose all the employees who now go start companies. So you have to make sure César was with us for more than 5 years. So first you have to do at least 5 years. And then you need to let us invest in your company. That's the program that I just made up. But otherwise we would lose all of the talented people, because we like to hire people who are potential founders, potential entrepreneurs, people who assume full responsibility of whatever business problem we give them. If you're the director of sales for a region, we want you to think like a CEO and understand the whole P&L, understand the product implications, the marketing campaigns, how you're supposed to do customer service. So this person could and potentially will be a founder at some point, but we have to fight hard to retain them. How does it make us feel? I guess the reality is sour sweet. At the beginning, it sucks to lose talented people that leave your project, because we are going to be in Factorial for many, many years as our main project, we the founders in this case. So each time we lose talent, it's not happy news. I guess over time we learned that life is long, and our impact is not limited to Factorial. We can also impact by investing and by creating or helping others create businesses in other spaces. So I think over time we embraced it, but it's not necessarily a good feeling at the beginning when you lose talent to go do something on their own. Now, obviously, we're very proud each time somebody talks about Latitude, and we try to send them investors and clients and everything. And if you think about things long term, it's definitely something I think most entrepreneurs should do, which is invest capital and time and support in people who have been key to their own projects, in going on their own.
So, and what César announced, what do you feel? What do you say? Congrats, César? Or?
Yeah. We're the #1 fans. We're supporting them. Yeah. We're neighbors. Well, not anymore.
Not anymore.
We used to be neighbors.
So, second key point of the report, mapping Spain tech sector, was angel investment. Companies like Factorial demonstrate the multiplier effect that successful founders can have on the ecosystem by providing mentorship, angel investment, and so what is your motivation, Jordi, to invest in the next generation of entrepreneurs?
I mean, we have very diverse cases, because we have a data hardcore tech company founded by ex-Factorial team members. We have an SME software that's all in one, so a lot of similarities with Factorial, but solving a completely different problem for a different type of companies. And then we have a coffee shop, which obviously has nothing to do with our expertise when it comes to building software and technology. And part of the motivation for angel investing is, everything somehow is selfish at the end of the day, no? It's hanging out with super talented, ambitious people. So Yasir is the most obvious, outlier here. Why are we investing in a coffee shop? It doesn't really make sense as software founders, but we just want to hang out with Yasir, and a good way to have him answer our WhatsApp messages is to give him money. So we invest in people that we want to hang out with. That's a huge motivation. The other one is we want to learn. We want to learn about business, and there's a lot of interesting comparables between StockAgile and Factorial. And there is also a lot of interesting learnings about the internationalization, the operational scale, the power of brand. You can see he's a walking brand. He even has the coffee cup there on the table with the Syra logo. We can learn a lot about the power of brand from a consumer coffee company, and investing in this hopefully returns the money and helps us grow the capital that we're able to generate. But more importantly, allows us to hang out with nice people, smart people, hardworking, motivated, ambitious people that can teach us a lot of things about their own businesses.
And Yasir and Miquel, what for you receive investment from Jordi? What did it mean?
So our story is a little bit different than César one's. Jordi and Bernat, along with the Nick Fund, invested when we were one coffee shop. We have actually 32 and 14 under construction. And I think, the less important part of them investing was money, to be honest. It was the empathy that was behind. So it was the empathy in good and bad moments in the story of the company, passing through the COVID, after the COVID, raising, etc. So of course, at the beginning, the first 100 K meant everything to Syra, but with this story of, because it was 3-4 years ago, and all this journey, the learning part was really about like having them like around and finding this empathy of like a single call like in the middle of the night, telling them, okay, I have a problem, and maybe the answer will be like, I have the same problem. And this is much more valuable than knowing if it's like 100,000 euros or 200,000 euros, I think. So it's much more about and also, I mean, I'm a former architect, so I don't have like this background, and it's finding in other person's skills that you don't have, and being very sincere about what skills you have and what you don't, and so what you can find in other people, really.
I have a question for you, because you just said from your background, when we met, what was your ambition for Syra? What was your plan for Syra?
So my plan for Syra was, I mean, so there's like a kind of like running joke like with Bernat and Jordi. I have like an Excel sheet with the 5, like the ambition was to arrive to 5 coffee shops, right? And the reason of hanging with them was to build one coffee shop like in the ethnic offices, really. And then I saw like this brand that was already built, like this small logo you can see like everywhere, has like much more potential. So this Excel sheet was growing and growing after all that meetings. And the joke is that I had like a lot of colors in this Excel sheet, so I'm known as the Excel color sheet. Exactly. And we end up with a business plan of 100 coffee shops in the 5 years. We're nearly doing it, let's say. And so yeah, it's also like being open to just redo and grow your plan with the people that you hang out with, really.
My memory from this is, I don't know if you know this line, like what's cooler than $1 million, $1 billion. So with Yasir, he's like, I can open 5 coffee shops. We're like, just this stupid question, but that helps you. It's like, why not 100? And it's a stupid question. And then Yasir is like, there's no reason why not 100. Exactly. Actually, we should do 100.
Exactly.
And you kind of stretch the Excel, the horrible, beautiful Excel that you came with. And then we're all like, this is actually a venture business. It doesn't look like. But if you scale if you start using our words in your business, if you use unit economics and margins and ROI, it's actually a great business. Coffee is a high margin, high barrier to entry business with your brand and with the quality and loyalty of your customers.
Exactly.
So that's one of the things that surprised us. Is this can be a venture scale business.
And it's about values and being like a maker. So we really take care about every single link of the coffee chain, from the farm to the cup. And it's bringing every single link like to the excellence, going like to the coffee shop, the point of sale, I don't know, like our own app, etc. So it's more about like values, really, in how to take it from other people around and take the most positive part of it.
So how do you go about receiving investment from pre-entrepreneurs, all, Jordi, and also César?
Sorry, what was the question?
What do you go about receiving investment from pre-entrepreneurs? What implication does it have? Receive investment from pre-entrepreneurs.
Yeah, of course.
In our case, that Jordi and Itnik invested on us, it meant they put on. Actually, it was the beginning of StockAgile as a startup. Until that moment, it was just a side project. They were the first of believing on us, and since they put the first investment of 100,000 euros. Until we could close the round, it was less than 15 days, because then they triggered the interest of the rest of the investors. Actually, they could connect us to the investors' network. Even other investors that wasn't interested at the beginning, they called me saying, "Hey, I'm interested now," and it was funny. Having an entrepreneur as an investor is very fluent. We speak the same language. We are living the same experiences that they did in the past. So it's easy for them to empathize with us. We can learn from their learning, so we can go farther than I think we could go without them. It's different than having just a financial investor in this sense. A financial investor maybe have the visibility of a lot of startups, and they can share maybe with you benchmarks or whatever. But in this case, you receive this kind of big brother feeling. It's different. It helps a lot, actually. I love to have you in.
And what's the bad side of having founders as investors?
I don't.
I don't know why I'm asking.
Yeah, there is a bad side. It's hard sometimes to contact to you in this stage, but even we have a small company and it's hard sometimes to contact to me, so I can understand perfectly. I just try to get the most every time that I have 2 minutes of you to ask you the right question, to see the right solution. This is the only thing that is difficult. I mean, this is the only bad side. The rest of the things for me are great.
So another key point of the report is when economies start down, entrepreneurs start up. Entrepreneurs not only navigate the crisis better, they actually thrive. What is your opinion regarding this insight, now that we are facing very uncertain economic times? So, Jordi, start.
I mean, I guess I'm the one closest to the part of the startup ecosystem that's suffering, because the public markets, the companies that are listed, traded in stock markets, they massively went down in valuation, and there is a lot of assumptions that were valid 2 years ago that don't add up anymore because the numbers just don't add up. So the closer you are to an IPO or potentially being traded, the worse. And definitely in our stage, it forces you to be a lot more efficient with the capital. Because people will say, okay, you're not IPOing yet, but maybe you are in 2 years or in 4 years, whatever the number is, you're going to grow 3x, 2x, 2x. They do the numbers, and they say you're going to have these revenues. And then if I apply today's multiples, that's the valuation of the IPO. And I'm taking risk because maybe that doesn't happen, so I need to factor this in. I cannot pay the multiples of 2020 or 2021. So it's very real, the impact of a bad economy in a growth stage business. I think when you keep doing this exercise more down or more early in the journey of a startup, it starts diluting. Because at the end of the day, when we invested in these companies, it's purely a binary outcome. It's either 0 or close enough to 0 that doesn't matter, or it's like 1000x, which makes up for a lot of zeros. So I think in this stage, things have changed a little bit, but from our perspective as investors, now I don't know which hat I'm wearing, as an investor, it doesn't really matter the bad economy because we will go through 1 or 2 cycles before any of them IPO or potentially make hundreds of millions of euros in revenues. So who knows where we're going to be. But for the later stage, it does affect us. I don't know, do you guys feel it when you talk to investors or in your own business right now, the moment in the economy?
I only feel it, but in a good way, so to speak. So I see a lot of opportunities now. So we, for example, we are in the business of rebundling a lot of very specific solutions that came up into the market through the last 10 years. And I think the current economic situation is great for a business that's bundling things, no? Because companies are now trying to be more efficient, have less tools, less processes, less people.
So you save them money, you save them people.
Exactly. So for us, it's a perfect environment. And also on the side of hiring, for example, the market is completely different than it was 2 years ago, for example. So we are able to access very, very good talent at prices that make sense for us as an early stage business. So we see a lot of opportunities there, definitely.
We used to, our engineers, 1 year ago, they would receive offers from Facebook, Netflix, whatever, like every other week for hundreds of thousands of euros, which obviously nobody can compete with. And now these emails stopped coming in, which helps a little bit focus in the business. Yasir?
I mean, our case is a little bit different because, I mean, if we take like one single shop, in its unit economics, we're profitable. So it depends of the aggressivity we want like to pull in, really. Also, like in terms of hiring, for example, we have like a super high rate of internal promotion. In terms of, I mean, we separate like really like two parts. We have the headquarters, really like a very small team that is connected really with the retail team. So it depends. I mean, I think like in hard times we become clever. Like in our side, I think it depends really on us on how aggressive we want to be in terms of openings. I mean, we always betted on not grow organically in terms of waiting that one coffee shop is having like this payback to open a second one, because we saw like this elephant in the room that everyone is really consuming like bad coffee. So we see something extremely obvious, so we have to open. And we have this capacity of roasting more and more coffee, like 10 minutes from here in Hospitalet. but it depends really on how we want to grow. So at the end, what I feel in terms of pitching and going like on a kind of very small scale like roadshow is that we never had like so better numbers, but there's like the scene as I feel it, they're afraid really. And we always pitched and we were like comfortable with people like Bernat and you, like really pitching deep pockets business angel, let's say. No, not in your case. No, like in the rounds after. So it's really different for us.
For us, it's a little bit more like César. Our customers has a lot of challenges, and our tool is actually to improve their performance, their productivity, to help them grow. During the COVID crisis, actually, it was the first time when we could grow quite fast because we were connecting the offline stores with the online channels. So we helped them to sell more and to manage better the companies in that moment where the online sales were increasing. Now we are still creating new features to improve their productivity in terms of in-store operations, in-store management operations. So in this case, it's an opportunity, but on the other side, as a company and thinking into the next round, we have to have it in account, and we are thinking, we are designing the business plan, having in account the efficiency, because we don't need more money now. We still have runway. We did the last round 6 months ago, but we are planning the numbers to be efficient for the moment when we are going to get the next round, because I think in that moment it's not going to be as easy maybe as it was 2 years ago. This is the feeling.
Okay, thank you. Jordi, you were able to raise a mega round to reaching unicorn valuation in a time that was all but not easy. What advice can you give to the rest of the speakers? And is different if the stage of the company, early stage or growth?
Yeah, it's very different, but there are some things in common. I think, can you say what stage the company is in so people understand more or less?
I'm in a seed stage. I raised 2.5 million this last July.
And you, Yasir?
I mean, in terms of what kind of KPI?
I don't know. I don't want to ask
so
you
no, of course.
It's not the podcast. So.
So we raised like around like 2 million in equity, like 1.5 million with in venture debt. And let's say we are like scaling up in terms of revenue much more. But
so like seed towards the
see exactly
stage, similar stage.
I mean, it's like we are in a different path really.
Yeah,
and we are pre-seed.
Pre-seed. Yeah. So I think my experience is for Factorial, before the Series A, fundraising was necessary to survive. Like we needed investors' money to keep trying to find the famous product market fit and finding sustainable business, a business basically, at some point. Since the Series A onwards, so Series A was the last necessary round. Everything after that was optional in terms of it can help us scale faster, but it was always optional. And I think that's something that not all entrepreneurs did or recognized, that you should build a business independent of fundraising, and you should use fundraising as an accelerator, but you should not depend on fundraising at some point. In the pre-seed, you kind of need money if you need to build software and you don't have a way to charge a lot of money to the first customers. If you sell to enterprise, maybe you can bootstrap it. If you have a lot of money, you can bootstrap it. In our cases, we needed money to start hiring the first employees, to build the software, to experiment with the go-to-market, to experiment with the business model. But then it was always optional. So we went to raise the Series B or the Series C, which is the one you mentioned now, with optionality. We went to investors and said, look, we would like to do this crazy ambitious plan, which we cannot do with the amount of money we have right now. But we can do this other plan with the money we already have and the revenues we have from our customers and everything that we've learned, which is, okay, it's not 3x business for many years, but it's a 2x business, which is a good business, and for that we don't need you. So that gives you a lot of confidence to go to the investors and be able to, not be like a little lamb and see who picks you up, but say, no, I want to choose the investor, not the other way around. And realistically, in the terms of negotiating and setting up the terms, we always had an out. We could always say, that's not good enough for us, thank you. And last year it was brutal. Now it's still brutal. fundraising in growth stages, Series B, C, D, and a lot of investors came to us, and I mean, they don't have the right to say that, but they gave us, in my opinion, ridiculously bad offers, and we were in a position to say, not interested, thanks, stay in touch, and then we walk and left the negotiation table. In the early stage, maybe you cannot do that. So I think one learning is trying to not pivot, but mature the company to that point as soon as possible. Probably Yasir is the one that's closest to that, because when we met, you already had a profitable business.
Sí.
So we kind of convinced you to grow faster and lose money in the process, but your DNA is already in the profitability mindset. So I think you're safer in this sense. You can always say, look, no more investment, no more crazy growth, but I have a business. In the software companies, it's typically harder to start profitable, but I do recommend founders have this in mind, and towards the Series A, that should already be a business that sustains forever. So runway is infinite, and then you choose, if you can, to raise more money to grow even faster, if it makes sense, which is not always the case. I don't know, do you have any thoughts around that? Are you close to being sustainable?
We are on our way. We still have a lot of challenges to do. Hopefully, by the end of the year, we will be close to the goal.
So if you could never, ever again raise money, imagine that's just a fact, what would happen with StockAgile? What would you do?
Depending of the growth we could achieve without raise money. If we want to bring the company to the stars, we would raise money again.
No, but you cannot.
What
do you do?
We cannot.
It's impossible. What do you do? With the money you have right now in the bank, do you hire fewer people? Do you invest less in performance marketing? How do you create a sustainable company? Or it's too early?
Actually, I would do what I'm doing now, because we are already thinking in this. The last 3 months, for example, after the round, we start spending a lot in marketing. Then we saw that it was not efficient. Actually, we talk about that. We change a lot this quickly. We are working now only in optimizing and growing optimizing all the funnel. And we are not anymore growing the team. So we have the team, and now we are growing. Investing onto forming the team to optimize all the processes,
Training
the people,
them,
training them.
processes.
And if I knew that I cannot raise money anymore, I would do what exactly I'm doing.
That's funny, because we didn't prepare this. That was an awesome answer, actually. You, César?
Yeah.
Never ever raise money again.
Yeah. So
that's more of a problem for you.
Yeah, definitely. But because right now there are a lot of uncertainties in our business. So we've been building this company for a year. So it was our anniversary a few days ago. And we're building a kind of product that's very, very ambitious. And you need to invest a lot at the beginning in order to hit something, and then growth starts. So we haven't reached that point yet. We're pre-product market fit, obviously. So it depends. We also have a huge runway, and we are starting very small, over 30 months. For a pre-seed company, it's great. So that gives us a lot of time to iterate and throw things at the wall and see what sticks. And we are very efficient by nature, because we want to stay really small. Like the team, we're only 6 people, and we're hiring some developers, but that's it. But not only because of extending the runway, which is important when there are so many uncertainties, but also because it's way easier for us to build product and steer the company in a different direction, and you don't incur in a lot of overhead. So we are efficient because we need to be efficient to build this kind of product, not because we're worried about not ever going to be able to raise money again.
Yeah, I think you both said the same thing, but in opposite ways. No, you survived the fundraising virus of let's spend a lot of money. No? You said you raised a round, you started spending money, and then you said, no, that doesn't fix anything. And at least because we were very close, and I remember each time I saw you, it's like, don't hire people. Yeah. Like the first thing I told you, like, good morning, don't hire people. And you've been very careful with using the money, no? So hopefully it lasts for very long. Also, you said something that I never thought about, but maybe this whole, everybody, what's product market fit? You heard this expression. it's really hard to explain what's product market fit. So actually, maybe one way to answer it is, if you cannot survive with more investment, you don't have product market fit. If you can survive without more investment, you have product market fit, because you can sell this to enough companies to sustain the business. So maybe that's a way to measure it. Yasir, I mean, you're already profitable when we met, but how are you doing in terms of cash flows?
I mean, if we had like the same scenario that you just like proposed to both of them, I think I would go like collecting some debt. I think it's like the most. I mean, we already like switched this like last year, because at the end there's like a moment that like this is like a game of economy of scale, and we can play in terms of payment conditions both with our suppliers, etc., with other coffee shops. So I think it depending on what speed we want to pull in really to our growth.
And what can be done in a founder-to-founder perspective to grow the ecosystem from within?
How can we grow the ecosystem from a founder's perspective? I mean, I think one of the things, and you kind of said it before, but from my experience, and I'm curious to hear yours, there is a lot of advice, and actually we're kind of guilty of this now. There's a lot of content which we're also guilty of, and it's a bit washed, no? Like you read the blog posts and the tweet threads and all of this stuff, and it kind of makes it look easy. You have an idea, you raise a round, you build a product, you get customers, you get another round, then you IPO. Like, it's not like it doesn't really work like that, no? I guess we all know it doesn't really work like that. I think from my experience, when I learn more is when founder to founder you say the real shit that goes around building a business, and you can learn from others' struggles. You can help each other out, sometimes with just emotional support, sometimes with ideas. But I think that's really important, and probably because nobody wants to air their dirty laundry, it doesn't tend to be so public, and you only see this in closed forums, which, by the way, we didn't talk much about Endeavor, but that's the whole point. In my opinion, one of the whole points of Endeavor is that you just have access to founders who have like a default level of trust, that just because you have the Endeavor label on your LinkedIn profile or something will be completely open about their miseries. And we were struggling, Factorial now, with some tactical issues in our expansion in LATAM, and I mentioned this to Nacho, who is the person that helps us in the Endeavor team, and he's like, oh, I'm going to connect you to this person, and we started the call, no introductions, and I just said, look, we're struggling with this, and immediately he started telling us all of the mistakes they made and how they fixed them, and that's extremely valuable. Sometimes business angels can be that network, and Endeavor can be that network if you don't have access to them organically. I don't know, what do you or we talk about founder to founder that helps you?
Actually, I was going to say the same. As if we create this safety environment where you can share your weak points, every time that I do with other entrepreneurs, I learn quickly what they are doing, and I can use it, and wow, it really helps. If we promote more entrepreneurs meetings, I know that this is a topic, but afterwards, these kind of events, actually you do it very well in it, Nick. Every Thursday.
But what are some examples? And I know I'm asking for your dirty laundry, but what are some examples of problems that you want to talk to other founders about?
One, for example, we came from 9 people to 36 very quick. So we have to work into the culture, into how to do the weekly meeting with the managers, and how you structure a meeting. Because the meeting could be 3 hours, but it should be 30 minutes and go quick. So, I mean, these kind of challenges that you have, this is a small example, but it's an example. And when you share this kind of questions or problems with other entrepreneurs, they told you, I read that post, I send you the link, or I do it like this, and it works a lot, or I do that, and this would be an example.
Yes, Syra, you're nodding a lot.
I mean, it's mostly HR, I think.
People problems, no?
See, because maybe no one learned you how to do like these kind of things, how to like handle a meeting, or how middle management would work, or how to do one thing or another, how to handle culture, whatever. And it happened to us. I mean, and I think when I meet you or I meet Bernat, that are like my first mentors, it's exactly about okay, I have this problem. Do you have the same problem? mostly it's people, mostly. Because no one learns, I mean, depending of the, I mean, no one learns you really, like, independently of the background you have. Because
in architecture, they don't teach you about HR?
No, so we do beautiful stores, but not, we don't really learn about it. And also it was like accepting that growth comes along with chaos. And this is something that it's very hard to accept. If you are like too perfectionist, it's like, okay, we're growing, but we are too chaotic. And then, I mean, it was my first question to everyone around.
Is it normal that everything's broken?
See, broken or chaotic, or that there's like no like flat moment to calm a little bit. So it's accepting this, really. So this was one of my points.
Mm-hmm.
You, César?
In my case, I think it's a bit of a different story because I was lucky enough to be part of Factorial, as we said, from the very beginning. So we were working really closely. So that's where I learned most of these things. No? I learned to hire people at Factorial. I learned how to build or set up the right processes for my teams and so on. But the main difference when I became a founder, it was related to raising capital, obviously. And that's where I wasn't that exposed to that at Factorial. I mean, I was obviously designing the deck and seeing what you were doing with investors, funds, and so on. But it's really different when you're the one, taking the reins of raising capital. So I think that's the occasion where having you guys as mentors really helped us a lot.
And for me, it's one thing that, I mean, people problems completely agree. It's when investors, one thing that's very valuable for me is the back channel, because all investors kind of pitch you the same. We're going to be great partners. We're going to give you the best valuation, the best support. We have all of these platform teams, they call them, and all of the stuff. But in reality, you start asking founders, and they say, "Ooh, these people, like I heard some bad experiences," and this is super private, and people don't share this stuff in the public. So this is really valuable. And sometimes you say, "I'm meeting with some people," and it's like, okay, I mean, I wouldn't recommend them, but if you don't have anybody else, okay, go talk to them, but if you can choose somebody else. And the people problems, what helps me a lot is what Yasir was talking a little bit as well, which is just empathy. Like, everything's broken in a startup, like in a fast-growing startup, everything is broken. And then you hear about companies that you look up to, and you think, wow, one day I wish I can be like them. And you realize that they have exactly the same level of problems that you have, just bigger scale. It's like, okay, we're not like idiots, we're just growing. So that's why everything is hard and it's annoying and it's painful and we have people problems and so on. And you just empathize, or because they tell you that they have the same problems and they still made it to whatever stage they're in. So yeah, just the empathy of understanding that we're all human, that your heroes or people you might look up to, they're humans, they're not superheroes, they've just been working on it for longer. So one of the things you learn is just stick around, just keep working hard, like wake up every morning. I'm lucky to have 2 co-founders, like help each other out. That makes at least for me, a huge impact.
So thank you very much. So we can conclude that we need more companies like Factorial and also more founders like Jordi that can create the multiplier effect. So thank you very much for sharing your learnings and experience with all of us. Thank you very much.
Thank you.